Now again, folks, this is Brother Peter with tidbits from the Word. Normally I'm bringing you only what the Bible says and about Jesus and about God, and how in the happiest day of my life, in November 5th, 1972, Jesus came and saved me. But as I was growing up as a boy, my daddy required us, when we went to school, we wore a necktie. We wore a tie just like they did in his day when he went to school. All the pictures I've ever seen of my daddy when he was young, they had ties on. Every one of them had white shirts and ties on. Yes, they wore knickers and they wore funny looking pants, but they always had ties on. And my daddy was born in 1912, and he lived through an era where people even went to work in ties. If you will, get you some National Geographic books and get some back out of the 20s and the 30s, the 1919s, and through there in the 20s and into the 30s, you will see men everywhere, even in the workplace, even in places where they were doing secular work, wore a white shirt and a necktie. So a necktie is part of the dress of the past, and I like to keep it a part of the dress of the present, and I would like to pass on it as a part of the dress in the future. When I get put in this grave, there will be a grave open for me one day, and this body's going to be stuck in that grave. And when it is, I want people to remember that Brother Peter, you never saw him without his tie. He wore his tie everywhere he went, and it was part of his daily normal dress. Well, something I have found out since I became an ambassador for Jesus Christ. I became an ambassador November 5th. In 1972, God made me an ambassador for Him. And believe it or not, it was 3 o'clock in the morning when He did it. And ever since then, I've learned how to maintain and keep what my daddy taught me when he was younger, and that is to wear a tie when I go out and be presentable. As an ambassador for Jesus Christ, we need to be presentable. If you are going to be an ambassador, you need to look like one. And an ambassador is one who is received by others. When he starts talking or says what he is, he's received by others as that's what he is. And let's put a single Windsor in this morning. A single Windsor is what we wore throughout my lifetime when I was young. The single Windsor is one time over, around once, down, and back up through. Now, I happen to have picked up a tie this morning that is a tie for a very tall man. This is an extremely long tie. But a single Windsor is the old time thing that we used to do, and here it is. And many men today, I watch today, I'm watching the news or something, I see senators and I see people out, and I see them with a single Windsor. This is a single Windsor. That's the old-timey way of doing a tie. The single Windsor, that's it right there. Now we're going to undo, and we're going to do a double Windsor. This is a double Windsor. You can pause your machine, back it up, do whatever you want. This is actually, and the whole truth of the matter is not a good tie for me to be showing you this on it, because it's so narrow. And I'm used to quite thick ties, but this is a 100% silk tie that was a gift to me, and it's very nice. So here's a double. One time over, up through one time, back up through, and then this tie is very difficult. First time I've ever tied this tie. And then actually this is a double. That's over, and then over one time, and then up through. Now I like a double, or even, I'm going to show you in a few minutes, a triple. But this is a double. You see here the nice looking knot that is right there. Now that is a nice looking knot right there. That's a double, and I like that double. It's a pretty knot. But if I'm wearing a suit, and I'm wearing a shirt with nice long collars on it and everything. And I have a very, very thin tie. This is 100% silk, very thin tie. And it's an extra long tie. I want to do a triple. So we're going to do a triple now. Let's go to a triple. Now, you can tie your tie with your collar already down, and you tie in the back. By the way, when you're tying your tie and you put your collar up, which most of the times you normally do, you put your collar up. Now remember, we're going to start with a single Windsor. This is a single Windsor right here, and we would come up through and down through. That's a single Windsor. Now we're going to do a triple Windsor, and we're going to do it by going through ourselves. We're going to go through here and pull back down. That gives us a curl on this side. That's a puffy little curl on this side. And now we're going to go back underneath, back over, excuse me, back up through here, up through here. Now remember, we're doing a triple. This is a triple. And so we're going to come back over. We're coming, okay. Back over. I pulled too much up. Here, this is a triple now. Now you notice this knot is long and skinny, but it's puffed out on the sides. Long and skinny, but puffed out on the side. You say, Brother P, that doesn't look too much difference than that double. It doesn't, in the sense of the word. But when you pull her up on your neck, you see how much bigger that is. And when you've got a very, very silky tie like this one, small and silky, then you've got a tie that you can put a full, see, now I kind of like that. I like that fullness at the top. When I'm preaching or teaching, I like that fullness at the top right here. And it, by the way, it takes away, a good knot tie takes away from the looks of many things that we have in our dress today. We may have a shirt on that is not real nice to what we're doing. Doesn't really fit the occasion, and the tie will take care of that. And then of course I like suspenders, and suspenders have helped me, and this is things I'm talking about dress this morning and whatever today. The suspenders have helped me from getting what I would call a popped out gut. You see a lot of men today, and their belly is hanging over their belt because they have trained their belly that way. They have pulled that belt tight on their pants, and their belly, as it grew, it had to do something, so it grew out instead of long ways. And by wearing suspenders, you can keep your gut from doing that. But anyway, that's not what we're talking about today. What we're talking about today is proper dress for an ambassador and a good knot tying. We're going to do all over again. We're going to do this. I should have brought, if you'll excuse me 1 minute, I'm going to grab a couple ties, and we're going to look at a couple of tie things. All right, we grabbed a couple other ties. I have quite a repertoire of ties. I have 100 or so. I can go in and just scoop up some. This is a little heavier tie. Let's see what a little heavier tie will look like this morning. Let's pull this. Now this is I'm telling you now, this is a $35 tie. This is a very, very nice tie. I like my ties to say in the bottom, when you get them, they say right here, 100% silk and handmade. 100% silk and handmade. Now you do not need to go and pay $35 for this tie, or $45. I got some that are $45. I buy them in either the Salvation Army, the Goodwill, or one of these places that sells secondhand ties and things. Do you think I would hold 200 ties? That's $6,000 worth of ties that I have, and I have them probably for less than $300 or $400. Now this is a thicker tie. Now this tie right here is not, you're not going to want a triple in this tie, because this is a much thicker tie. Even though this is a handmade tie made in China, made with a silk base, all silk. It says it's all silk, but it's a thick all silk. And the reason why is because it's of where it is put together and where it is made. It's double sewed on the back. It's full. It's a full tie all the way with a beautiful lining. This tie has a liner, and so here we are. Let's put a single Windsor in. Remember, we're going to pull this down, a single Windsor. If you're left-handed, you'll be doing it just opposite. Here we are. We're hanging over. We've got a true X right here. See that X? That's a true X. Now we're going to go underneath and over one time. We're going over one time. And then we're going to come back up through. This is a single Windsor. That's a single Windsor. Okay, if you want to do a single Windsor. And then you're going to come down through your single knot right there. Make sure your tie is straight when you do it. Put your thumb up underneath right there and make sure your tie is good and straight, because you want a pretty knot. Now you don't want to go out of the house with a knot that's not proper. Now that, because this is a heavy tie, a single Windsor is not a bad looking knot. Not at all. That's a nice looking knot. It's got a full body to it because of the thickness of the tie. But we're going to put a double in this here. We're going to go ahead and untie. Now when you untie, don't undo your tie like this and take it off and hang it up so you don't have to tie the knot. Always retie. Every single time, retie your tie. And 2 or 3 reasons. One reason is you can't learn without practice. You can't learn anything without practice. The proper looking thing. Now pull your collar up so you can get your tie. Be sure and get the inside seam on the back of your neck and the inside seam on this side of the back of your neck. Now we're going to do the same X that we did when we did the single Windsor. Now we're going to come over. There's 2 ways you can do this. I don't want to confuse you. There's 2 ways you can double Windsor. That you can double Windsor by over twice. Over twice. It's according to the thickness of your tie. Up through and down through. Now I can look at a tie of a man on TV or anywhere walking up to me. I can look at his tie and tell you he tied it. That's an old-fashioned double Windsor right there. It's just a hair right here thicker than the single Windsor was, because I'm dealing with this a thicker tie here. This one, this is a beautiful tie. I love the way it ties. I love the way it hangs. I love the way it knots out and the way it looks. But I'm going to go, and you see these buttons right here? I'm going to fill in all the way those buttons right there. I'm going to fill that in. Now if I had the collar buttoned and I fill that in with a double Windsor, I'll show you. It's actually borderlines on a triple, but I can't make a triple Windsor with this thick a tie. A triple Windsor would be too big with this particular tie. So I'm going to double Windsor this tie. We made our first X, and then we go to a single Windsor. Now what we're going to do is we're going to pull up through the back side right there. We pulled up through. We're going to go out over again, and we're going to go through this side and down. Now we've doubled our Windsor. See the puffy knot right there? That's already as big as the little single we had. And we're going to go over now. I left way too much tail sticking out. This is going to be a little bitty short tie because of it. But I am going to show you the knot. I don't care how long the tie is right now. I'm going to show you the knot. Look at the size of that knot. Now if you're a big man with a size 15 neck, and you've got a big neck, you look funny with a single Windsor. You almost look funny with a double Windsor. This is a triple. If you are a big man and you want to put up a triple, And then you can tighten it up and pull it down a little bit. But you see, we're filled into our buttons almost right here. See our buttons on our collar? We're filled in almost to our buttons. This happens to be just a little bit thicker tie to do that. But that is a pretty knot. That is to me, that's a beautiful knot. I understand that knot. When I see it, it's a beautiful knot. I know somebody learned how to tie a triple Windsor from the inside. That's going up from the inside and over, back around under, back up from the inside and over, and then all the way over and then down through. And that's a triple Windsor. I actually like that knot with this light pink shirt and my red suspenders and this size knot. And this particular shirt happens to be a well-fitted shirt to my 15.5 neck. Now, the bigger neck you have, the bigger knot you really need to make yourself look good. And you need to pull your knot up tight. Always pull your knot. I see people wearing their knot down here. Don't wait, that's sloppy looking. So you can see the top button? That's sloppy looking. Don't do that. Wear your knot all the way up tight. You say, well, it pulls on my neck. It doesn't have to pull on your neck. This can be, don't pull the knot quite so tight if that's the case. Now this knot right here, I've got it pulled up tight. If I had it loose, it would be way down, way out. It could be a lot bigger than it is by not pulling it tight. So we're going to go over this Windsor deal again. We're going to grab us another tie. Like I say, don't pull that tie off your head and hang it up. First place is, it's not good for your tie. Second place, it's not good for you. Because every single time you tie your tie, you're learning perfection. You're learning perfection. Now this is a funny tie. This is a tie right here. This is all silk tie. But it has some material in it that's kind of like sandpaper. And it feels a little pulley. But remember, always start with your X. Here we are with our X. Always start with your X. Here's your X. Alright, now we're going to put a triple in this little tie. Because I'm going to put a triple in here, I'm going to pull this up to about 8 inches right here. This is going to be about 8 inches long, what's left over. Now, there again, I got this tie at the same time I got that other one a little bit ago. So I'm going to pull 12 inches out. That's nearly a foot. Otherwise, because I'm only 5 feet and something tall, I'm less than 6 feet tall, I usually wear a tie that's 3 to 4 inches shorter than this tie. This is an exceedingly long tie. As a matter of fact, I will pass this tie on to one of my taller friends that are 6 feet tall, and I'll pass it on to them. Because two things. It's first place, it is an exceptionally beautiful tie. And so here we're going under. You see, I got my thumb. You see my thumb right here? You see I'm pushing on that. I'm pushing under on that, and I'm going to pull it up. And as I pull it, I'm going to throw it over. And I'm going to try it. Don't do what I just did. Because it's a thin tie, it's easy to do what I just did. And that's put a little bit of a pucker in it right there. But I threw it over. That's the single tie rotation. Now I'm going to put it up underneath. And this tie right here is going to be one of those ties that's just a little bit aggravating to tie. For several reasons. One reason is it's shark skin, and shark skin is very hard to tie shark skin. Let me get back to slick silk. Back to the slick silk. All right, this again is another one of these long ties. I received these ties yesterday, and I've got, I think, 5 or 6 of them. And there were a very tall man that had bought them, or somebody was tall that bought them for the whoever had them. And by the way, I don't think they had the tags on. I don't think they were ever worn. But anyway, people do that. Hey, we're going under. We're going over. All right. That's the first time over. Now we're going down through right here. Down through. All right, don't get confused. You can back it up and look at it. Don't get confused. We went down through. We're going over here, and we're coming up through on this next one. Turn your tie over with your labels to the inside when you come up through. As you come up through, you got to turn it over and come up through like this so that you'll be down. So you're down on it now. Now we're doing, remember, if I remember right, here we go. We're doing a triple Windsor. We're coming over and up through now. Over and up through. Hey, do you believe the guy showing you how to tie the tie is having a problem? We got to come down through this knot right here. We got to come down through this knot right here for this triple. Here we go. Now, you can see right now that this is a straight, square type knot right here. It's different than the knot we'd been doing earlier. The knot we'd been doing earlier was shaped like this, long and picky. But this is a straight across knot right here. It's a little different. Now, we can pull it down. As we pull it down, we change the shape of it some, but we don't want to change it a lot now. We want it to maintain its cross look. You see that? Maintaining its cross look. Now when we put our collar down, you see that's a total different knot than what we had earlier. How can you change that knot and it still be the same knot but be different? You can do it by pulling it and shaping it this way. Now you see you've taken the same knot and you've changed that knot. I would rather have the knot loose. You can't hardly loosen one back up after you tighten it and have it back across again. Let's go through that process one more time and then we're going to be done for today. Okay, here we are. We're going to do it one more time with these exceptionally long ties. Let me take another tie here. This tie here, again, is a little bit thicker. Because I'm right-handed, I always hang my tie, my big side of my tie, on the left-hand side. Because I'm right-handed, if I was left-handed, I would hang the big side on the right side, just the opposite. Now here again, this is a fairly long tie. I'm going to give myself about 10, 11 inches over here. And I'm going to do my single Windsor right there. Now I'm going to do the first half of my double. This is going to be the first half of my double. Keeping my inside now. Keep the inside where the tag is and everything. Keep it inside. Now I'm going to go underneath. Underneath now. Remember this, underneath. And I'm going to go down through right here. Down through. Now, remember on the left-hand side, just then, I came up through. Now I'm going down through. Okay. And as I went down through, I've got to remember to keep my tie now, the back side of my tie, over. Now I'm going across, directly across. See, this is that knot that's going to look like this. It's not going to look like this, peeking. It's going to look across because I'm going to pull it very lightly. I'm not going to pull it real tight. I'm going to pull it very, very lightly. Now, I've had people, when I'm buying ties, I have people come up to me and say, "Mister, can you tell me how to tie one of these?" And I show people all the time in the store how to tie a tie. And I try not to confuse them and just show them a single Windsor. Just a single Windsor. Now see, we haven't pulled that long and skinny. We've kept it fairly wide this morning right here today. And now we've got a perfect fit for this particular collar and for this shirt and for this tie. That is what you would call a beautiful knot, just perfect. It doesn't look ugly. It's not down. This right here is a sloppy to me. It's slovenly. A person that would allow that tie to be like that is not really representing themselves properly. If you want to represent yourself properly, keep your tie proper. Keep your tie proper. You say, well, he's got a tie on. Well, if he's got it on all sloppy, then he hasn't got it on properly. Now, a necktie is a proper thing. It needs to be proper. It needs to be part of your perfect dress. It needs to be good. Now, bigger knots for people with bigger necks are better. If I got a big chest, here I am, here I am 2 feet wide here, 3 feet wide here. I need a bigger knot. I got a bigger collar, I've got a bigger shirt, I got a number 18 shirt or a double X or a triple X on, and I have this huge neck. I need to have a big knot. So what you do when you're doing those big knots is when you're tying your triple, you buy a little heavier tie, first place. It's hard to tie a big triple with a thin tie. This is a medium thickness tie. This is an impossible tie, this shark skin. It's silk, but it has some shark skin on it, and man, it's like sandpaper. You can hardly tie it. And then this real thin one, this is a hard tie to get a big knot in. I've got ties in here that my daddy had that actually came, I've got some ties in here that are 40 years old that my daddy had, and they look like this, but they're thick. And they're a lot thicker, and you can tie a big knot with a thick tie. So you can go, it's hard even, you can't even buy a thick tie today in the markets, today's market. So you just about have to go to a second-hand place, a Goodwill or a Salvation Army or somewhere, to find a thick tie. And hey, I find ties every single time I go in the store. I find ties with the tags still on them, never been tied around a person's neck. Got the tags still on them. $35, $40 ties nowadays. Ties are very expensive now. They're not like it. And by the way, I always try to buy those like this one says handmade on it. It says silk and handmade. And you can get them from all over the world, silk and handmade. And anyway, here we are, 27, 18, 28 minutes. We got one more tie that we can do. We've got a couple minutes to do another tie. We're going to do one more tie in our 30-minute session this morning, or today. Now, something tells me that when I just pull this tie out, that on one of the revolutions that I made backwards. It still looked all right, and it still worked all right. But I made that revolution backwards because it didn't pull out when I pulled the tie out. So, be sure and get your tie to where the inside seam goes around your neck, comes out. Now make sure your inside seam is back. Sometimes it's very, very easy to get backwards. Here we go, single Windsor, single Windsor. Here we go. One over, back up through. Single Windsor. Now, if you had the old-timey days ties that we had way back when, the old-timey ties we had way back when, they were twice as thick as this. They were a little bit shorter than this. And that right there is the... And I see that today. And a lot of men on the news and on TV and on places, they have never taken the time to change, to learn how to change their knot to be a double, or even just to do 2 rotations. A single Windsor with 2 rotations. You can do that. Let's do that. This is a single Windsor with 2 rotations. Okay, here we go. We got our X. Remember, put your X in first. Come back over. Come under. All right, here you go. Simplest, simplest, simple. So simple, it's so simple. 2 times over. Now, a lot of people think that's a double Windsor, but that's not a true double Windsor. That's still a single Windsor made fatter by going over twice instead of one. Now, this knot is just a hair bigger than the first single Windsor that I did. That just looks like a fat single Windsor doing it that way. And so, my time is about come and gone, so we're going to have to leave. I think I can do I got time to do one more. No, I don't. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.